Hello dear students, good to see you again to the IPR classes. Today we are going to discuss geographical indications. You can see examples of geographical indication. She is collecting the tea leaves to manufacture the famous brand which is called as Darjeeling tea. This is a form of a cheese. Then we have a special blended coffee, and all these products are protected because they originate from a particular geographical area. Now, what do you mean by geographical indication? It is an indication, indicates. It originates from a definite geographical territory. It is used to identify goods having special characteristics originating from a definite geographical area. It is used to identify agricultural, natural, or manufactured goods. The manufactured goods must be produced or processed or prepared in that particular territory. It should have a special goodwill. Now, what are the advantages of geographical indications? They confer legal protection. If you register geographical indication, you will get a legal protection. It prevents unauthorized person from using the registered geographical indication without permission. It promotes economic prosperity of producers of goods produced in a particular geographical area. They can do good business if their product is protected under the law. It helps generate export ability of goods. If your product is standard enough, after protection under geographical indications, you will have every right to export your product to other countries. Then what is geographical indication? Geographical indication is a name or a sign used on certain products which corresponds to a specific geographical location or origin. Example, a town, region, or country. For example, basmati rice, Swiss watches, etc. These are all protected under geographical indication. Now here are some of the examples of the geographical indications product protected under GI. You can see here the special kind of honey collected by some people and then sold as pure honey. Then you have cashew nuts, some art and oranges and wine, cheese, mangoes and design, craft or embroidery, whatever you may call it. Then wine, a special wine coming from a particular area. This is the silk, bananas also are protected and so on. Okay, so this is how the geographical indication works. Then in India, there was no comprehensive legislation to protect against the misuse of geographical indications. The indigenous goods like agricultural goods, natural or manufactured goods, or any goods of handicraft or goods of industry, including foodstuff, were not adequately protected. There was no special protection for these things. Under the agreement on TRIPS, it was made clear that other countries are under no obligation to extend protection unless the GI is protected in the country of origin. So therefore, India had to give protection by way of passing the law which is called as the Geographical Indications of Goods Registration and Protection Bill was introduced in the Parliament, and then it was later on passed in 2000. Excuse me. Then these are some of the examples of geographical indications, or in fact the products coming from various states in India. For example, the famous Goa produces feni. Then we also have silk from south, then potteries from north, Basmati rice, you must have already used it. See, it is produced in Delhi, Punjab, Haryana. And Rajasthan has its own speciality, potteries and all those things. Then if you go to the West Bengal, you have Darjeeling tea and so on. So many products have already got GI tag from Government of India, the office which deals with geographical indication registration. What is geographical indication? A geographical indication is a sign used on products that has a specific geographic origin and includes the qualities or reputation of that origin. A geographical indication is given mainly to agricultural, natural, manufactured handicraft arising from a certain geographical area. These are one of the forms of IPR. So GI comes under the category of intellectual property rights. Then the relationship between the objects and place becomes so well known that any reference to that particular place is reminiscent of goods originating there and vice versa. Now, if you hear about champagne is it's a drink made in one of the villages in France called as Champagne. So that's how it got its name. It's from that particular location. Swiss watches is another example. There are so many examples of geographical indication we can see in the later slides. Again, it performs three functions. Geographical indication has three main functions. The first one is they identify the goods as to the origin of a particular region or locality. Secondly, they suggest to consumers that goods come from a region where a given quality, reputation, or other characteristics of the goods are essentially attributable to their geographic origin. For example, dates produced in Middle East or Arabian countries are different in quality if they are produced in India, by whatever means possible, because a particular product needs a particular environment, and then the quality depends on where it grows. So that's the originality, and that's the characteristics, and that's the quality of a particular product originating from a particular area. Thirdly, they promote the goods of producers of a particular region. They suggest the consumers that the goods come from this area where a given quality, reputation, or other characteristics of goods are essentially attributable to that geographical area. So it promotes the producer's production. Now you must have already seen this, or you must have already tried. This is called as Dharwadi Peda. It has already got the geographical indication. So what is the main purpose of getting the registration under geographical indication is, once you get that right, you can prevent others from producing these things or manufacturing these geographically indicated products originating from you from the unauthorized person. So if anyone wants to produce these things, they have to approach you, pay you the royalty, and then go to their places taking license from you. They can produce the same product anywhere else. Another good example, famous example, is of Mysore silk, Karnataka. Its distinguishing feature is the usage of pure silk and 100% pure gold zari. Karnataka Silk Industries Corporation received the GI tag in 2005 for this product. Only organization, so Karnataka Silk Industries Corporation is the only organization in India commanding the entire gamut of silk production, from reeling of cocoons to the weaving of pure silk fabric. Now there's another famous product which is called as Solapuri Chadar. exclusive GI product from Maharashtra. So, GI is a kind of sign used for goods that have a specific geographic origin. Article 22 of TRIPS Agreement defines geographical indication as signs that originate in a member or identify a good location in an area or locality where a given quality, reputation or specialty is assigned to its geographical location is essentially acceptable. That's the definition. As a result, India implemented in 1999 when the TRIPS agreement was incorporated as a member state of sui generis law, similar kind of law for the protection of geographical indication. So therefore, the object of the Geographical Indication Goods Registration and Protection Act 1999 has three folds: by specific laws governing the geographical indication of the goods in a country, which can adequately protect the interests of the producers of such goods, so to protect the interests of the producers of the goods, to exclude unauthorized person from misusing or the geographical signals and protect consumers from fraud, and thirdly, promoting Indian geographical bearing goods in the export market. What happens here is that in the second point, now you must have already seen so many products at tourist places where there's only one tag fixed, tag copied from the original tag, original geographical indication, and you see when you take the product at home, you will see that product is inferior, it's not of good quality, and this is called as stealing somebody else's geographical indication and using it on their own products. This is how they can cheat. Okay, right, now we come to the famous Kolhapuri chappal. It gets its GI tag. A geographical indication tag was jointly received by Karnataka and Maharashtra for making Namma Kolhapuri chappal. The Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademark has granted the GI tag to Kolhapuri chappal from Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara and Solapur districts of Maharashtra and Dharwad, Belgaum, Bhagalpur and Bijapur of Karnataka. There is a perception that these artisans are from Maharashtra alone, but large number of them are from Karnataka and have been making these chappals for centuries. So that's how geographical indication protection was given, and it is given to the Kolhapuri chappal. A registered geographical sign prohibits in any way the use of geographical insignia which indicates in the designation or representation of goods that such goods originate in a geographical area. For example, basmati rice, Darjeeling tea are example of GI from India. The connection between the goods and place becomes so much recognized that any reference to the place reminds of the quality of the goods. Some examples of Indian geographical indications are, which are registered: basmati rice, Darjeeling tea, Banaras brocades and saris, Kurg orange, Fulkari, Kolhapuri chappal, and Kangivaram sari, Agra peta. Now we have, these are some more examples of Jaipur blue pottery. Then we have some art, and then this is the mask, clay art, which are exclusively from a particular area, and it deserves protection from the geographical indication law. Let us come to the history of geographical indication. First, GI system used in France since the early part of the 20th century, which is known as the Appellate d'Origine Contrôlée (AOC). Items which meet geographical origin and quality standards can be approved with a stamp of government that serves as the official certification of the products origin and standard to the consumer. So geographical indication, the recognition of geographical indication and the protection originated in France. So the products which are protected under in France or in Switzerland were included Gruyere cheese and several French wine. So this cheese originated from Switzerland. Yeah, you can see some of the examples here, wine and the cheese. Now let us come to the international agreements and organizations on geographical indication. The first and most important organization is the World Intellectual Property Organization. It is a global forum for intellectual property services, policy, information and cooperation. What is the role of WIPO? It is an international organization dedicated to ensuring the rights of the creators and owners of the intellectual property which are protected worldwide, and the inventors and the authors are thus recognized and rewarded for their ingenuity. Next, international. Okay. Let us see now what is the connection between WIPO and GI. International treaties, part or entire protection of geographical indication, which is the part of the international treaty. Then relevant treaties administered by WIPO are Paris Convention, Madrid Agreement for repression of false and deceptive indications of source on goods, Lisbon Agreement, protocol relating to the Madrid Agreement, an overview of the TRIPS Agreement on the WTO website. So these are some of the these are the international agreements or treaties which deal with geographical indications. So the official building of WIPO. Now, next international treaty or convention is Paris Convention for the Protection of Industrial Property. The Paris Convention, adopted in 1883, applies to industrial property in the widest sense. The repression of unfair competition. It deals with the repression of unfair competition. This international agreement was the first major step taken to help creators ensure that their intellectual works were protected in other countries also. And we have Paris Convention 2, Madrid Agreement for the repression of false or deceptive indication of the source of goods, and these are also very, very essential for the protection of GIs. Then we have Lisbon Agreement for the protection of appellations of origin and their intellectual history. Then we have protocol relating to Madrid Agreement concerning dealing with the GI again. The TRIPS Agreement came into force or effect on 1st January 1995, which addresses the international protection of GIs within the framework of the World Trade Organization. The three main features of the agreement are standards, enforcement, and dispute settlement. Here is another example of a wine which is produced from the grapes from a particular area. Now, this looks from a foreign country, like for example France or Paris. Let us come to the Statement of Objects and Reasons of Geographical Indication Act 2000, which is applicable in India. There was no comprehensive law to protect GIs in India under TRIPS until 2000. Under TRIPS, unless GIs are protected in the countries of its origin, there is no obligation on other nations to extend reciprocal protection. So this was the condition. In order to recognize and protect GIs from India in the export market, this was another objective of starting our enactment of this particular act. It was felt necessary to have a law on GIs. Hence, the Geographical Indication of Goods Registration and Protection Bill was introduced in 1999. This act came into force on 15/9/2003. Okay. To provide for the registration and better protection of GIs relating to goods. These are the statements of objects and reason for this particular law which came into existence in India. Now, some more examples of GIs which are registered in India are Basmati rice, Mysore scale Mysore sandalwood oil, Mysore sandal soap, Mysore jasmine, Kurg orange, Madhubani paintings, Darjeeling tea, Narwar peda, so and so on. And then we also have some pictures here for Darjeeling tea symbol. And then we have some of the world geographical indications which are registered: Canadian whiskey, Swiss watches, Florida oranges, and champagne, as I already mentioned earlier, and tequila. Kashmir saffron, kesar, in Hindi and Marathi, which is called as kesar, which is used in so many products. It's very, very expensive. It gets geographical indication tag. Guatemala organic coffee also gets protection. So, what are the salient features of geographical indication bill? There were definitions of terms like geographical indication, goods, producers, package, registered proprietor, authorized user, etc. It also provides establishment of GI registry. It provides for the maintenance of a register of GIs in two parts, Part A and Part B. Part A contains all registered GIs and Part B contains particulars of registered authorized users. It also provides provision for framing of rules by central government in respect of examination and registration of GIs. Then compulsory advertisement of all accepted GIs concerning writing objections. Then registration of authorized users of registered GIs, and provides for action against infringement of GIs, provides for renewal, ratification and restoration of GIs, provides for assignment of GIs, provides for the registration of GIs as trademark, appeal against registrar's decision, lies to intellectual property, appellate board established under the trademarks legislation. It also provides provisions relating to offences and penalties. So these are the salient features of the bill or the act which came into force in 2003. Some important definition: geographical indication, as per section 2 clause E, which says that in relation to goods, it means an indication which identifies such goods as agricultural goods, natural goods or manufactured goods as originating or manufactured in the territory of the country, or a region or locality in that territory where a given quality, reputation or other characteristic of such goods is essentially attributable to its geographical origin, and in case of manufactured goods, one of the activities of either the production or the processing or preparation of the goods concerned takes place in such territory, region, locality, as the case may be. Now, this is an example of Kolhapuri chappal. Some things are made in Karnataka, and the marketing or whatever is done in Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara, whatever. So, that's how the protection is given to a geographical indicated product. Another definition you can see is of indication. What do you mean by indication? Section 2G deals with this, which includes any name, geographical or figurative representation, or any combination of them conveying or suggesting the geographical origin of goods to which it applies. So it deals with the name which has been given to that particular product. That is indication. Now, what do you mean by the register and conditions for registration? Section 3 provides for the appointment of a registrar of GIs and other subordinate officers. Now, this officer deals with the registration of the procedure relating to registration of geographical indication. The Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademarks shall be the registrar of GIs also. The registrar will be assisted by necessary additional officer and staff. Section 4 provides that the registrar can withdraw any matter pending before an officer. Now let us come to the process of registration in India. Producers dealing with the following three categories of goods can apply for registration under GI. First is the agricultural goods, which includes the production, processing and trading or dealing of that particular product. Then second category is the natural goods, including exploiting, trading or dealing of those goods. Third is handicrafts or industrial goods, which includes making, manufacturing, trading or dealing of those handicrafts or industrial goods. Now here you can see a pie graph which speaks about how much is registered out of which category. As far as agricultural products are concerned, we have 26% GIs registered in different categories. If you can see the manufactured goods, it is 8%, food deals with only 2%, and the entire 64% is the handicraft. So this is the position of the registration of GIs in India. These are some of the examples of geographical indications from US, Italy, and so on. The registration process. Let us see the registration process, how it is done. There are steps. Step 1, dealing with filing of application. Now the application has to be as per the provision of section 2(1)(e). Then any person or association person or producers or any organization or authority should represent the interest of the producer. So only any representative can file an application. Application must be made in triplicate. The application shall be signed by the applicant or his agent. Details of the special characteristics and how those standards are maintained have to be mentioned in the application. 3 certified copies of the map of the region to which the GI relates has to be attached. Details of the inspection structure, if any, to regulate the use of GIs in the territory to which it relates. Give details of all the applicants together with addresses. So whoever are the applicants, then information has to be provided by the applicant to the registrar. Now, place of registration. Now, this is the place, or you can say the address of registration of GI. So the office is located at Chennai. This is the address, official address of that particular office. The applicant must have an address for service in India. Generally, application can be filed by a legal practitioner or registered agent. Let us come to the second and third step, preliminary scrutiny and examination. The examiner will scrutinize the application for any deficiencies. The applicant should, within 1 month of the communication of this regard, remedy the same. So whatever deficiencies are there have to be remedied by the applicant within 1 month. The content of statement of case is assessed by a consultative group of experts well versed on the subject. The will ascertain the correctness of the particulars formation. So they will also ascertain the correctness. Thereafter, an examination report would be issued. Let us come to the step number 4, show cause notice. If the registrar has any objection to the application, he will communicate such objection to the applicant. The applicant must respond within 2 months or apply for hearing. The decision will be duly communicated. If the applicant wishes to appeal, he may within 1 month make a request. The registrar is also empowered to withdraw an application if it is already accepted in error. Step 5 deals with publication in the Geographical Indications Journal. Every application within 3 months of acceptance shall be published in Geographical Indication Journal. Step 6 deals with opposition to registration. Any person can file a notice of opposition within 3 months, extendable by another month, or request which has to be filed before 3 months, opposing the GI application published in the journal. The purpose of publication of the application or the details in the GI journal is to make the public aware about the process which is going to start for the registration of GI. So that if the person who is going to suffer a loss due to this registration can file an objection. The registrar shall serve a copy of the notice on the applicant if there is an opposition. Within 2 months, the applicant has to reply or file a counter statement. If he does not do this, he shall be deemed to have abandoned the application. Thereafter, both sides will be heard. Okay, and then with have a affidavit and supporting documents. A date for hearing has to be fixed thereafter. Step 7, registration. Where an application for a GI has been accepted, the registrar shall register the geographical indication. If registered, the date of filing of the application shall be deemed to be the date of registration. The registrar shall issue the applicant a certificate with the seal of geographical indications registry. Step 8 deals with renewal. A registered GI can be valid for 10 years and can be renewed on payment of renewal fees. Step 9 deals with additional protection to notified goods. Additional protection also can be given to some of the notified goods. Step 10 deals with appeal. Any person aggrieved by an order or decision may prefer an appeal to the Intellectual Property Appellate Court within 3 months. The address of the IPAB is as follows. This is the address where you can file an appeal. What indications are not registrable? Okay, some indications cannot be allowed to be registered. Now it is given under Section 2E of GI Act, which says, which prohibits following kinds of geographical indications. Any indications, the use of which would be likely to deceive or cause confusion among the public, the use of which would be contrary to any law for the time being enforced, or which comprises or contains scandalous or obscene matter, or which comprises or contains any matter likely to hurt for the time being enforced religious susceptibilities of any class or section of the citizens of India, or which would otherwise be dismantled to protection in a country, which are determined to be generic names or indications of goods and are therefore not or cease to be protected, which, although literally true to the territory, region or locality in which it originates, but falsely represent to the person that the goods originate in another territory, region or locality as the case may be. Now, affidavits. Affidavits is required by the Act and the rules to be filed with the Geographical Indications Registry. Every affidavit shall state the description and the true place of the abode of the person filing it, and shall state on whose behalf it is filed. Affidavit shall be taken in India before any court or person having the authority, in any country or place outside India before a diplomatic or consular officer, Oaths and Fees Act 1948, such country or place, or before a notary public. Every affidavit filed by the registrar in connection with any of the proceedings under the Act or rule shall be duly stamped under the law of the time being enforced. Inspection of documents by the public. The documents mentioned in subsection 1 of section 78 shall be available for inspection at the head office of Geographical Indication Registry. A copy of the register and such of the other documents mentioned in section 78 as the central government may by inspection at each branch office of the Geographical Indication Registry as and when established. The inspection shall be on payment of prescribed fees. Distribution of copies of general and other documents. The central government may direct the registrar to distribute the necessary copy to such places as may be fixed by the central government. Now here is the flow chart, or you can see a chart which shows exactly how the geographical indication is registered. The first step deals with the filing of an application. Then there is an examination by the registrar. Okay, so they will inspect and scrutinize the application and find out whether the application has been filed in a prescribed manner or as per the norms. Then, if there is an objection from the registrar, their objection has to be remedied. Opportunity for hearing has to be given to them, to the applicant. And if the registrar is not happy with the proposal, or the defense or the explanation given by the applicant, the registrar can refuse to register or go further. So, if the objection fails, or if the applicant fails to remove the objection, his application will be refused. If he wins, applicant wins, he is able to convince the registrar, then the registrar will accept the application, advertises it in Geographical Indication Journal, then opposition is invited. If there are any opposition, then allowed or refused, whatever, after hearing the parties. If refused, he can approach to the appellate court. If allowed, then it will come again. Here, if there is no opposition, it can directly go for entry in GI register. Journal is different and register is different. Journal is for the public, and registration is for the registration of the GI, which is kept at registrar's office. Now these are the particulars which have to be mentioned in Part A and Part B. And then after the entry in GI register, the registration certificate is issued by the registrar of geographical indication to the applicant. What is the benefit of registration of geographical indication? It confers legal protection to geographical indications in India. It prevents unauthorized use of registered geographical indication by others. It provides legal protection to Indian geographical indication, which in turn boosts exports. It promotes economic prosperity of producers of goods produced in a geographical territory. Who is the authorized user? A producer of goods can apply for registration. It must be in respect of registered geographical indication. It should apply in writing in the prescribed form along with prescribed fee. Who is the producer in relation to the geographical indication? The persons dealing with three categories of goods are covered under the term producer: agricultural goods, natural goods, and handicrafts. Infringement of registered geographical indication. Now what happens, and what do you mean by infringement? A registered GI is infringed by a person who not being an unauthorized user uses such GI by any means in the designation or presentation of goods, uses any GI in such manner which constitute an act of unfair competition, including passing off by way of creating confusion by any means, false allegation in the course of trade, GIs, the use of which is liable to mislead the person. Falsely represent to the person that the goods originate in the territory, region, and locality. Whoever does this, it is said that he has committed infringement of registered geographical indication. Now, what are the penalties, or what is the punishment? Offences, penalties, and procedure. Penalty for applying false geographical indication. If any person unauthorizedly applies false geographical indication to his product, the punishment is he shall, unless he proves that he acted without intention to defraud, be punished with imprisonment for a term which shall be not less than 6 months, but which may extend to 3 years, and with fine which shall not be less than 50,000 and which may extend up to 2 lakh rupees. Offences and penalty. Again, penalty for selling goods to which false geographical indication is applied, their punishment is same. Enhanced penalty on second or subsequent conviction. There is also penalty for repetitive action or repetitive infringement activities. Penalty for falsely representing a geographical indication as registered. Again, he will be punished with imprisonment and fine. Offences and penalties. Again, penalty for improperly describing a place of business. He will also be punished. Okay, right. Penalty for falsification of entries in the register. No offences in certain cases. If the applicant has acted in good faith or as per law, then he cannot be termed as the fraud, or it cannot be said that he has committed any infringement. Now, suit for infringement has to be filed before the district court. So, no suit for the infringement of shall be instituted in any court inferior to district court having jurisdiction to try the suit. Relief in suit for infringement for passing off. The relief of the court which a court may grant in any suit for infringement of passing off referred to in section 6 includes injunction and at the option of the plaintiff either damages or accounts of profit. These are some of the list of geographical indication tags in India from different states. Thank you. Thank you for your patient hearing, and all the best to you, and see you in my next class. All the best. Take care. Be safe.